Hi, good afternoon. Uh, Steve, I am Jonathan Diaz, and I'm here to present to you our university program update. So, first and foremost, I'd like to inform you that IRC is now the IRC Innovation and Research Center, and we changed it as opposed to before, which is the Instrumentation, Robotics, and Control Laboratory to stay relevant with the times. So, moving on. Here at IRC, we aim to foster innovation and equip the students with technical knowledge to create solutions and products which has economic value and are socially relevant, which focuses on solutions and products gravitating towards managing production resources, healthcare, and education. Now, this is a recap. Of course, one of our strategies is that to support the IAT venture teams, mostly that are coming from the technopreneurship classes. And I guess we can add the quick launch projects and the thesis projects in this lab, which of course would have gone through a market validation so that we're sure that their project really has a good potential in the market. Now, on top of that, we also aim to promote community building through tool development and internship. Actually, we have previous engagements with local electronic distributors and manufacturers such as eGizmo and Alexan. And with eGizmo, we made a board with them, dev board, the IRC Slim board, which is based on a Z8 chip. Now with Alexan, we developed this. We developed E9. It's a health device which helps in prenatal. Oh, no, in prenatal things. So, in prenatal health care. Sorry. All right. Moving on. And of course, these are KPIs, external, internal. Well, we aim to ship at least one major technology per sem that would probably come from the thesis projects, the 198s, such as a TB Patrol or Heart Smart. Also, we aim to release at least one minor product that would probably come from the quick launch projects, such as the Zuman in ultrasonic USense, the ultrasonic shield. And I'm gonna talk about it some more later. I'm gonna show you. And also, we would like to generate two training modules per sem. These training modules can be anything actually, just as long as it is in line with the initiatives of the IRC. And we're gonna talk about it later again. And also, we like to keep track of the students being mentored in the projects and development sprints. And of course, the projects that are being sponsored by investors and partners such as you guys. And we hope to keep it that way. Anyway, moving on. Here's our intern onboarding process. Well, before, we only had about 3 steps on our onboarding process, namely the customer support, the QA, and the quick hack. But then, in order for us to accommodate our new KPIs, we added three more steps, which is the teach, the quick launch, and the apprenticeship. In the teach module, as I've said before, one of our KPIs is to generate at least 2 learning modules, which would be coming from these step, the teach step, wherein the students are tasked to make instructables or YouTube videos and post it at our IRC channel, which contains learning materials such as, for example, how to burn a bootloader to a Z8 F16 chip, or how to diagnose a dev board with this kind of problems, this and that, etc., etc. Basically, anything under the sun that would benefit the IRC lab or the engineering community for that matter. Next up is the quick launch. Quick launch step. Students are asked to form teams, or if they already are in the technopreneurship class, they need not form teams inside the lab because they're already in the techno class, which they're going to be having a team as well. So basically, quick launch is it's a one month program wherein the students are asked to hack previous devices and make a MVP out of it and provide marketing materials for it. And the assumption is that they can ship it within a month's time. Anyway, I'm gonna talk more about it later. And the last step is the apprenticeship, which the affiliates must be an apprentice of ongoing projects for at least 1 month dev sprint. And moving back, forget to tell you that after the probies have done with the first 3 steps, the customer support, QA, and quick hack, they'll be able to access the lab and they have key powers over the lab. And they can hang out here at the lab anytime they want. So, but for them to be an affiliate, of course, or rather for them to do their 190 or 198, or rather their thesis proposal and the actual thesis, they must also get past the 3 steps: teach, quick launch, and apprenticeship. So all in all, for a student to conduct their project proposals, or rather thesis proposal, and their thesis inside the lab, is you have to go through all these 6 steps. Now, to give you a more info on the quick launch process, well, again, as I've said before, it was based on the ship it day of Atlassian, wherein they tasked their employees, they gave their employees about a day to create a product and or hack an existing product, and then that they can sell. So first off, 1 week prior to the event or the kickoff, we identify participants from the lab, the IAP teams, collaborating colleges, for example, the industrial designers from the College of Fine Arts. And then also we identify product candidates. It can be from previous quick hacks, classes, lab visits. It can be a new product or a new version of a previously released product. And actually, we get some ideas from other colleges as well, such as from the College of Fine Arts, because oftentimes the industrial design students come here and ask us if their ideas are quite feasible, or rather technically feasible. So we also include that in the project pool as well. So after that, we ask the participants to validate each items in the project pool if it indeed has a market for it. So they conduct a 1-day market validation for it. And when the event proper starts, we then choose among those pool of projects. And basically, we choose the projects that has market validation, of course. And we choose the number of projects. Basically, it relies on the number of. It is limited by the number of students and senior lab affiliates who can supervise the teams that can be formed around that project. But in our ongoing quick launch, we have 2 teams, namely the Zoman and the USense. And we could accommodate more teams, but again, if there's only more students and affiliates, yeah, so why not, right? The more the merrier. So again, In the event proper, they also get coached on Scrum, so they know the in and outs of Scrum, and that would benefit us in tracking them and for their efficiency. And then also they're gonna plan a 1 month MVP sprint, including market validation, marketing collaterals, plus their 5 minute pitch product design for them to showcase and present their products on demo day that would coincide with the technopreneurship class demo day. And we're having weekly sprint reviews so that we can track their updates, of course. And a month after, they're going to present their projects on the demo day inside the technopreneurship class. And moving on, these are the current ongoing IRC projects. The HeartSmart, it's an adaptive cardiovascular exercise training device. TB Patrol, automated rapid tuberculosis diagnosis system. Hero, the hypoacusia testing device. Cooltech, energy saver for air conditioning. Zuman, dev board based on the Z8F16 and the USEN shield. It's an easy to use ultrasonic shield. These last two are born out of the quick launch projects. So I'm going to turn you over to Carl Santos for HeartSmart, and so on and so on and so on. After that, of course, the IAP teams or the teams from the lab that would have a very promising product or solutions would be then handed over to enterprise, where they can be provided with mentoring, seed funding, workspaces, networking, ICT staff, and campus linkages. In order for them to succeed and stand on their own, basically Enterprise is a startup incubator. And this is the Innovation Acceleration Program, which is now I believe, the Technopreneurship class, converted into a curriculum. Well, basically the first two parts, the kickoff and the proper parts, is done in the Technopreneurship class. And then if they pass the class, or rather, if their projects gets chosen by the panel, they then get to go to the transition part or the venture development, where they have 3 to 6 months where they develop their business model and technology development even more. And by that time, they would have a number of clients already. Hopefully, that is. And I'm quite sure they will. They will. Right now, the enterprise is about three businesses under it, and hopefully more would come from the previous technopreneurship class. Hopefully more IAP teams would join in coming from that class, and hopefully from this lab as well. Now, the technopreneurship class is heavily influenced by this book, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, or Eric Ries if you must. Well, the book is about, of course, startups, and he says that startups ought to be business hypothesis driven, and the company should release a number of iterative product releases so that the company can get instant, or rather quick, customer feedbacks, and then build improvements on top of that feedbacks, and then release another MVP to answer those feedbacks, and then build a better product, and then learn from it, then build a product, and so on and so forth. Basically, he says that in doing this, it would prevent you from wasting resources, such that instead of designing the one best product and then releasing it to the market, putting all your resources in it, but sometimes, of course, what you think that it's the best product is not really, would not be really received by the customers that well. What happens if that product goes south, And then, of course, the customers or the clients would have sometimes would have negative feedbacks, and instinctively you would design another product around those feedbacks, but this time around you won't have the necessary resources to make that product because you put all your resources into that first product which you thought was the best product, but then the market says otherwise. Therefore you lost a lot of resource and prevented you from continuing your business. Well, with the lean startup, it aims to avoid such incidents. So in the lean startup, basically you have to put an MVP to the market as soon as possible so that you can learn from that MVP and then build a better product on top of it. And the cycle goes on and on and on. Anyway, moving on. Based from that book, this is the class workflow in the technopreneurship class. Opportunity identification, one-day validation, team formation, first pitch. Well, in the team formation, the students are asked to sell themselves among their peers, what strengths they have, what interests they have, and so on and so forth. In this first milestone, the students are asked to provide business ideas, and then they're gonna get one-day validations from their immediate contacts, people around them, their friends, relatives, or families, just about anyone who has a problem that they believe that they can answer with their solution or product. After that, they're gonna provide the design sprint and then validate it with the professor of the class, and if it's viable, then they can go on with it. Otherwise, they're gonna scratch it up. They need to dispose of it, then make a new one. Because in this, with the given timeline, if the teams should fail, they ought to fail fast, so they can pivot early on and move on with a different project or initiative. And after that, they're gonna make a business model out of it, validate it, and then start a planning. And then come demo day, and they're gonna present their projects to the panel, of course, and they're gonna provide marketing materials and then their pitches and everything. Now, next up is an example of that. There's a customer discovery for a web startup. Basically, the first step, the students are asked to state an hypothesis and validate it with their contacts. As you can see here, friendly first contacts. Just about anyone, actually. Preferably with a business, of course. And then they're gonna present their problems to that business owner or what, and then validate if indeed their solutions or process can be really used by that client, or if the client is really interested in paying for such a product or solution. And after that, they of course they define their minimum viable product and check if their product is really viable. If there's a really big market, there's a big potential market out of it. Then they build that MVP, and then they go back again to their previous clients and validate their MVP to the client if indeed that's what they want. And then if they do, then they make it even better. If not, then they have to recheck their steps, and if there is a very evident bottleneck or a showstopper, then at least they can pivot from that point on. And then they iterate their product again, build an MVP, and then send to the customer, get customer feedback, and the loop goes on and on. And by that time, they would have gone past through the part that their product is really useless or not. This steps aim aim to avoid wasting resources as to pursuing projects or ideas that have really no economic value, so to speak, and they can pivot early on. Now, moving on, and these are the statistics from the previous technopreneurship class. There were a total of 91 students. 51 of them were grad students, and the rest are undergrad. And out of those students, 26 teams were formed. And however, only the top 12 finalists, only the top 12 teams were selected to present on demo day, as to squeeze in the time, because it was only about demo day was only good for about 3 hours, and there were a lot of teams, because aside from the technopreneurship class teams, there were also teams coming from the DOST funded project, Department of Science Technology funded projects. So I believe it was also 10 teams. So in total, there were like 22 teams that were able to present on that day. It's quite a handful. The whole the whole thing was packed, and even went over the time limit actually. But it was fun actually. And here's the list of the panelists and guests. Of course, Wilson Yung is there. Yours truly. Nice one, Wilson. Anyway, and there's quite a notable people there. And actually, this is if I'm not mistaken, this is the demo day which has the most number of panelists attending. Anyway, this is one of the pictures of the demo day. Yeah, there's Doc Season right there. Is the proponent of this whole thing. Too bad he's not here, but I'm sure he wishes that he was here. Anyway, moving on. These are the venture descriptions of the teams that were able to present on that day. Actually, four of the teams there were born out of the IRC lab, namely the FormWatch, Cooltech, Hero, and Smart Traffic. And this is the team rankings. Nanosense, Honeycomb, Vibe, Fungicide, Replay, Cooltech, Smart Traffic, FormWatch, Prints.ph. Nanosense and Honeycomb and Vibe fungicides are already Eng Icon winners. Eng Icon is a engineer university-wide contest wherein students are asked to pitch in their projects. And it's like a mini technopreneurship, but you already have a product and a business model, and present it to them. If it's good, and you win, and they would give you money to further develop that project of yours. And think boxes like that as well. Anyway, that's about it. Thank you.